What's up, YouTube? So today I'm going to talk about a business concept that long-term investing applies to time and not just money. And most people accept the importance of long-term investing when it comes to money, but I would argue that when it comes to time, it's even more important because you can make back money over the long run, but you cannot make back time. So even though losing money is not good, I would argue that losing time is even worse than losing money. So before I get into the real content of the video, a lot of this is based off of the idea of opportunity cost. So this is the idea that when you spend money or time on something, there's not only the direct cost associated with that money or time, there's also what else you could have done. So for example, if you buy a $100 watch, there's not only the $100 that obviously was a cost, there's also the return that you could have gotten if you put it in the S&P 500, for example. So an example of opportunity cost that has to do with time would be when I first started running my business full-time, my main marketing method was putting out flyers on people's mailboxes and door handles and places like that. And this seemed really cheap on paper because it was only like 6 or 7 cents per flyer. But in reality, this was really expensive because of all the time that I had to spend putting out flyers. And this was time that I could have spent power washing or window washing and actually collecting checks for the jobs. And so the year that I was doing that, I was doing about half the revenue that I'm doing now because I had to spend so much time putting out all those flyers. So even though right now I'm doing internet marketing, which is technically more expensive on paper, but I'm making so much more revenue that it's definitely worth it. So opportunity cost lets you know that you really need to consider what you're spending your time on, because you really don't want to be doing something that's less productive when you could have been doing something that's more productive instead. So right now I'm spending the majority of my time power washing or window washing, and that is the most beneficial thing to me in the short run. It's the most productive thing that I can do in the short run because that's how I actually make money. That's how I get cash and how I pay my bills and everything. So obviously I can't not do that, at least not until I have a full crew. But right now I'm trying to transition to spending more time on marketing because this is going to benefit me more in the long run. So the reason why marketing is much more beneficial to me in the long run has to do with how much it can cause my company to grow and cause me to grow as a business person. So when it comes to power washing or window washing, there's only so much that I can do in terms of getting better at those specific things or getting more efficient at them. And like at most, I'm only going to be about 2 to 3 times as efficient as like an average power washer or an average window washer, for example. But when it comes to marketing, that's not really true. A really good marketer is like 100 or 1,000 times as good as just a mediocre one or someone who's just starting out. So that's why I really need to, I'm starting to focus more on the marketing side of it because if I get really good at that, that's how I'm going to scale up the business in the long run. Now, one thing that I do want to say about this is that you need to take your own skill set into account as well when you're deciding what you need to spend your time on. So for example, I'm 5'9". I'm not exactly going to try to go into the NBA anytime soon, especially since I'm already 25. And even though that is something that some people can do like 100 or 1,000 times better than other people in terms of bringing in money for the NBA, that's not in the cards for me, so I'm not going to try to focus on playing basketball. But I do feel like marketing is something that I could get very good at, and that would be something that really benefits me and my business in the long run. So this is similar in terms of some of the concepts to the book No Rules Rules, which is about Netflix. So the authors said that they are willing to spend like a lot of money to hire literally like the best programmer in the world. And that's because the best programmer in the world is so much more efficient and so much better than even like the 10th best, for example. But the authors did concede that their example was an ice cream stand. If you have an ice cream stand, you're not going to benefit that much by paying a lot to hire the best ice cream scooper in the world because they're only going to do it 2 to 3 times as efficiently as like a mediocre one. So this is something that's important to consider even if you're the employer or the entrepreneur, because you still need to outperform everybody else in the marketplace, and you're not going to do that by just advancing a skill set that you can only get realistically like 2 to 3 times as efficient as another person.